Well, hello members, thank you so much for all the support. You know I appreciate it. Let's talk about Twisted Metal, the Peacock show that debuted last week. I've already binged the whole thing, absolutely loved it. This video right here is the 10 things that I loved most about Twisted Metal Season 1. Now let's be honest, we're probably going to have more than 10 things because there was a lot to love in this season and in this show in general. But let's begin with 2 that don't really count. How about that? See, we're already breaking the rules. That's how it works, folks. And I do this because these 2 are not specific things that we can put a number to. These are the sauce in which the entire show marinades, and it is delightful. The first one is, of course, Will Arnett, Samoa Joe, Sweet Tooth. The first I ever saw of these guys working together was the casino scene, which was horribly stupid out of context. In context, it works. The Sony people told me it would. I says, I know. I trust you. But that wasn't the trailer you should have put out. I don't think they disagree. But regardless of that, when you actually see Samoa Joe and Arnett working together, they're good, man. They're funny. They're interesting. Not super threatening. Like, I don't get a sense of, like, I'm scared of him. He's actually probably the most likable version of Tooth I've seen. I'm a fan, though. I'm a fan of this version. Really like that. The other thing, of course, are the constant nods and fan service. And I gotta say, a lot of time, and look, I have no idea what a non-fan or a non-familiar with this game would think of the show, because I don't know where the fan service gets in the way of the storytelling. Maybe it never does. There's no way I can know that, because I'm so excited to see these characters from all the games. There were tips of the hat to Small Brawl. I was never a fan. I think it was 3 where there was Flower Power, and the Granny I think was in Head On, but like 3 I didn't care for, but that was a great character, right? Everything from that to, and we'll get into some specifics, but I mean, it's crazy because as far as I know, Sony PlayStation Productions did not go to the showrunner and say, hey, you have to put in X percentage of fan servers. I don't think it was like that. And it just seems like what they wanted to do. And it was delightful. I fucking loved it. If you're a fan of the series, fan of the games, every episode, you're like, oh my God, there's that. And it doesn't feel like it did with Phantom Menace, where it's like, oh, look, it's 3PO. Remember 3PO from the other movies? Look, this is Anakin building him. It doesn't feel like it's fan service that gets in the way of the story. It feels like it's part of the story. But it's also fan service. It's D&D. The last D&D movie did this with a lot of the references. If you didn't know them, it didn't get in the way. And if you knew them, you appreciated it, but it still didn't get in the way. So those are the big things, like the meta things. But let's get specific. In no particular order, this is number 1. When I was seeing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff of this, I was like, okay, I guess they're not giving Sweet Tooth the hair. The flaming hair. I just figured, maybe it's too expensive. I don't know. They want, back when I was a kid, they did a Fantastic Four cartoon, but they didn't have the Human Torch. They put a little robot called Herbie or something in it. And the reason was they didn't want kids to watch it and set themselves on fire. So I assumed it was something like that. So color me tickled and thrilled when Sweet Tooth has his cronies pour the gasoline on his head and says the line, light 'em up, directly from the coming soon trailer of Twisted Metal 2012. That was the shit. I loved it. And not only did I love it, I loved that they held it. Again, I've said this in some earlier streams reviewing the show. I'm not a writer. I'm a pretty okay world builder, content creator with fiction and stuff. But when it comes to laying out the spine and the plot points and whatnot, the fact that they saved it and they revealed it when they did, man, that's stuff I could never do, but boy, I sure can appreciate. I love that. Number 2, the fact they brought Mike and Stu back is crazy. The fact that Stu actually has become a likable character who has a lot of the heart of the show is even more crazy. The fact that him and Sweet Tooth get together and they form a weird kind of friendship. We don't quite know where it's going if you stick to the final scene post-credits of the season. I loved this relationship, though. I thought it was funny. I thought it was kind of sweet. It was a nice, I mean, maybe they were like, look, we got to give Sweet Tooth someone to talk to besides Harold, which we'll get to in a moment. I don't know what it was. But boy, it was so great. It was a really fun relationship. I liked it. I want to see where it's going. Harold, come on now. Harold the Wacky Lunch Sack was a idea. It was a stream of consciousness driving to the set going, what the fuck does Sweet Tooth want, back in 2004. There was no, it was just, let's make him crazy. That's as much thought as I put into it. And to not only see a professional comedian like Will Arnett go, I'm willing to work with that, I can do something with that, is crazy to me. I loved Harold in the show. I loved that Sweet Tooth kept referencing back to him, and he wanted him to guard people and drive the car, and he had a little drink and shit. It was the shit. I loved it. I want action figures of Harold. People are like, Jaffe, just go get a lunch sack. Fuck you! I want Twisted Metal on the fucking side so people know I paid way more than anyone should for a lunch sack. I love Harold in this. He should get we should start a campaign to nominate Harold for an Emmy Award when the nominations get decided on. Come on now. The Convoy, dude, come on now. I mean, look, I posted about this the other day. Smoking the Bandit, this show, whether it's intentional or not, owes a lot, plot structure-wise, and other things to Smoking the Bandit. This reminds me of when I saw Saved by the Bell as a young adult. And I'm like, that fucking show is great, and it's its own thing, but that's Archie. Like, Zack is Archie, and Reggie is Slater, and Jughead is Screech, and Veronica is whatever, I'm so excited, whatever her name was, right? So this is Smoking the Bandit, but specifically, and I went back, by the way, and watched Smoking the Bandit recently, like 2 nights ago, because I'm like, does that hold up? It really holds up. Great fucking movie. But anyway, in the second one, which I watched obsessively as a kid when it was on cable, there's this big convoy scene. I loved it. I'm not saying that's where this is from, but I just always thought big convoys were really cool of semi-trucks. This kind of moving, living village of semi-trucks that can interconnect, and they have a dining car, and they have meeting rooms, and it's like just this traveling city that happens to be on wheels, man. That's something. That's a really clever, cool idea. Nothing to do with the Twisted Metal games, although maybe they'll do something with it in future, but man, that was cool. I love that. Speaking of, I loved Twister. Everything about Twister. I loved the character. I thought the best we were going to get was when she's in that convoy in her garage, and she is looking around, and she lifts up a blueprint or something. We see the blueprint of Twister. I'm like, okay, that's a nice nod. The fact that eventually not only does she reveal Twister's real in the show, but she gets in it, and she drives it, and she does car combat in it, and she's a great character, and she ends up hooking up with Flower Power. I mean, it's a good fucking character. I was very curious about this part where it says ERR, because I was like, okay, is she about to go back in time? Is something about to happen with her thing, and she's going to start twisting? I don't know if that was a setup. I don't know why they showed that. It was weird, but maybe I have to go back and watch it, and that's how she dodged the missile. I don't fucking know. But I loved it. Everything about Twister in this series I thought was great, which kind of leads me to the next thing. I don't know how old these actresses are in the show, but it was really neat actually to see all of the actresses for the most times you do a show like this, you get like some 25-year-old up-and-comer really hot chick, or if it's a CW show, she's a little younger. If it's a network show, she's probably maybe a little older, probably not. They didn't seem to feel the need to go after that, which, while I like that, of course, just as a visual thing, that was pretty cool. It made the world feel more lived in and real. There was no, even Quiet, who I thought was very appealing and great and an attractive lady and stuff. I think she's like 40 something, right? It's not like she's like, fresh off the boat, off the bus to Hollywood. And so I don't know. I just like that choice. I don't know why, other than I just think it made the world feel more genuine and real. And it wasn't like you could almost kind of squint and you could see the people behind the scenes filming the show. Felt a little more grounded, I guess. And I appreciated that, and I enjoyed that about this series. I mean, Agent Stone, that he's in this thing at all is crazy. The fact that it's Sandman, or what's his name, Thomas Hayden Church, the guy from Sideways, great actor. The fact, though, that they bring back, I mean, it is weird, man. It's like the guy who made this show or wrote this show, the showrunner, I don't know, it's like he just had a good time. I don't know if this is true, but it's like he just had a good time finding ways to thread the world of all the Twisted Metal games into the tapestry of the story. Because when Agent Stone shoots all the people in the mall and realizes he's killed this kid and then takes the bear. That's pretty much the Agent Stone story from Twisted Metal Black. There's no need to put that in there, but I sure am glad they did. And then he still carries the bear around with him till the end of his life. I thought that was fucking great. I thought the death of Agent Stone, or I'll put death in quotes, was pretty fucking cool. When John Doe finally threw the hatchet right and it just embeds into his face, I thought it was just a great moment. Nasty effects. I think it was practical effects. Really beautiful done. Whatever it was. So gross. And I love the fact that you don't know if he's dead. Because, yeah, you hear the gunshot, but you also could think maybe Agent Stone's like, you know, if they bring back season 2, if they make season 2, I could see them doing a flashback of him on the runway and, like, you know, using the gunshot, trying to get one last shot at John Doe as he drives off, or using it to blast the thing out of his face, the axes, and, you know, there's a lot of ways they could bring him back. So you don't really know what happened, and I like that. And you also just got this great nasty gore at the very end, which I thought it was, you know, it was actually quite cool because you have the hero of the show, John Doe, that you want to be the guy who kind of takes down the bad guy. But you also have a better satisfying arc if Quiet takes down the bad guy, because it really is her nemesis, but it's the show's nemesis too. And I thought they found a great way to let her get sort of her fuck you Agent Stone moment, and then John Doe got his as well. So very, very fucking cool. I like that part. Sweet Tooth's backstory has never gone beyond he was crazy, he killed a bunch of people, here's how he went crazy, here's why he went crazy, here's the moment he went crazy. But who he was as a kid never even occurred to me to think about. I loved the backstory. I thought it was funny and fresh and interesting. I wish the kid was fine as an actor and he was a normal, nice-looking human, but it seems like I wish the kid would have been a little crazier looking, like he just seemed kind of like a normal kid. But short of that, though, having him kill the dog and having that sort of be, you know, his whole shtick at the beginning was great. The motivation works, like his parents and shit. He's crazy and everything, and it's funny as the way he plays it, but you still go, yeah, that makes sense. His parents would ignore him and all this shit. I loved the backstory. I love how they integrated with Blackfield Asylum. I love that he had the corpses of his parents just rotting in the cell. It was great. Fucking loved that episode. Loved the whole setup. Fantastic. I don't know how ratings and stuff work on streaming services. The fact that they went pretty much hard R with this, the language and more importantly the gore was great. I loved the slaughter when Sweet Tooth went into the dam and killed everybody, cut off the guy's head. The car combat, the blood in the car combat was great. You know, not something we were really able ever to communicate in the game because the camera was so far back. So to see the drivers inside getting riddled with bullets and brains being blown out and stuff was a very cool take. I was very happy to see that. I love that scene where John Doe and Quiet are driving and they kind of each shoot out the other one's window and take out the guys on the side. Was very, very cool. So the action was good, but it was great to have the action complemented by just the excessive gore. It was, I would say gore. It was almost excessive. I want it to be excessive in season 2. I hope it is. I was watching the show with the stream and they pointed out to me that Raven in episode 1 is in a bar. I think it's her bar. Well, the whole town seems like it's hers, but called Kelly's, right? Which was her girlfriend in Twisted Metal Black. I thought the little nod was cool, but I think that's going to be her wish if they make season 2, which is she's going to wish for Kelly to come back to life is what I think is going to happen. And it was cool to kind of see that, you know, Kelly is still in her mind. Or maybe it was just a throwaway. And somebody asked the showrunner, hey, what do you want this sign to say? Kelly, I remember that. But in my mind, I built a whole little story up, so fuck you. But I like that. I like that a lot. Let me give you some real quick ones, and I'll give you the one I love the most. I love the Sweet Tooth zoomy eyes. I know we've had zoomy missiles in the game. I loved how they referenced blood missiles, but zoomies we've had. But I loved actually seeing them in the show and seeing them come out of Sweet Tooth's eyes. You'd never really be able to know where. I want to say the ice cream cone may have fired from his mouth in Twist Metal 1, but you can't tell because the camera's behind the car. But to actually see the slots there and a bunch of missiles come flying out was awesome. I loved, my favorite car of the whole fucking franchise is Shadow from Twist Metal 2. So the fact that Shadow was in it, it was a purple hearse, that was pretty fucking cool. I love that a lot. And then I loved, the eye explanation. We gave a different eye explanation in Black for why one of his mask eye holes is covered up with like some kind of wooden patch or something. But to actually go, oh, he got shot in the fucking face, and we see that. And then Stone even saying, oh, you're dripping eye blood all over the fucking car, was really cool. Now, my favorite thing of the whole show, I mean, I just loved it so much, but my favorite, if I can extract a part from it, was the whole kind of Evelyn misdirect. Okay, Evelyn is Anthony Mackie's car. I was just like, okay, that's his car for the show. And it was, he had this relationship with it, and, there was a whole pivot point of the plot about, was he going to go with Quiet and all this stuff, or go with the car? And the car ends up, getting destroyed. And I was like, oh, okay. They really built this as like a character on the show within reason from episode 1, right? And so it would have never occurred to me they would have gotten rid of it. But the fact that they got rid of it and then had John Doe and Quiet build a new car, and that new car becomes Roadkill, which is the car, obviously, that John Doe drives in the game, and where it came in the series, like just that build-up. Like I never saw the death of Evelyn coming. And then it never occurred to me that was going to spin into the birth of Roadkill, right? That's what I'm saying about, I can appreciate good writing. And I'm not saying this is Shakespeare, but I can appreciate good plotting and good setup and payoff and all that. I'm not so much the guy who's really good at going, I know how to do it, or I have the discipline or the whatever it takes in your brain to do it. But I thought that was so cool because it was just all the pieces coming together at that moment, and Roadkill comes out the back of the car and you're like, oh shit, which obviously spills into what I think a lot of people's favorite moment of the show is, or the series, is the setup for season 2. I mean, that billboard that shows all the drivers is awesome. So cool to see Grimm. So cool to see Axel, of course. Just, Dollface at the end. It's fucking cool, man. I couldn't love it more. So fucking cool. So there you go. Those are my top things I loved about Twisted Metal Season 1. I know nothing about Season 2. I sure do fucking hope they make it. I sure hope they make it. What a fun show. Just a neat thing. I just love it. I've said it over and over, but I can't get over the fact that something I had a big hand in with a bunch of other people has now transitioned to a much more accessible medium. My parents knew what Twisted Metal was. They were insanely proud of the work I got to do. They never played it. Are you kidding me? They were like old people. They would have watched this. They would have liked this. That's cool, man. That's cool that this is something that when I'm gone, and I say it a lot just because it's on my mind because of the show. I'm not thinking about going anywhere. Hopefully not for a very long time. But regardless, when I'm gone, a lot of people can still pick up on some vibe that I was involved with. I love that. It means a lot to me. I love the show. I hope you enjoyed it too. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I will see you on a future stream, future video, or sometimes at night, depending on who you are. It's only like 6 members I do this with. I sneak in and watch you sleep and stuff. But other than that, I'll see you soon. Be well, be safe, and thank you guys.